Good morning. Welcome to a post-traveling edition of Gentle Somatic Yoga. And some of my clients would really like to work on back pain, psoas, piriformis, this kind of area of the body. So we are going to start on our backs today. And it's always good to have, especially when you're doing gentle somatic yoga, to have a blanket over a mat if you can, just for the idea that when you're laying down, you want your limbs to be able to move smoothly and not get stuck on a sticky mat. The other thing you might want is maybe a second blanket, not something too high, but something pretty low for underneath your neck. If you have neck issues, you can always roll even a towel up just to support the neck and allow your head to just not be either tilted too far back or too far forward in any of your lying down positions. So I'm going to go grab an extra blanket and we'll get going. So traveling will have the effect of making some muscles really, really stiff. So if you've either been in a car a long time, or anything that you do that is kind of out of your ordinary and not allowing you to do your regular movement activities. Daily movement in some fashion is so crucial for keeping our fascia hydrated and our joints lubricated, as well as just moving blood around. Okay, so let's go ahead and get comfy on our backs. It's nice to do a check-in to start off with. And when we do a check-in, we're not doing it to go into a litany of our complaints as much as to be able to have a point of reference from the beginning of class to the end of the class to what we've been able to restore more to balance or more to freedom. Your arms can be placed wherever they want initially. Let your legs just sort of flop out comfortably. And without doing too much management of your breath, just allow your body to breathe. You could note what breath practice initially feels just right today for whatever reason. So start by noticing the places that are touching the floor, what level of comfort or discomfort you might feel. It's almost kind of a neat way to kind of go back and forth, like left foot to right foot. How do they feel versus each other? Left, if you're laying flat, left back of the calf to the right side. Kind of shifting back and forth. Again, this contrasting is not for judgment's sake, much more for observation's sake, which then helps your brain really start to distinguish nuances of health and disease, or dis-ease, not disease, dis-ease in your body. Also nice to notice areas of the body that actually you're having more of a time distinguishing anything in particular. It almost feels like just a blob. Just notice if there are any of those areas. And then we'll begin some gentle movement. Oh, somebody's not muted. Aileen, I think I'm hearing your. I can mute.
That was me. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's okay. Go ahead and mute yourself. I don't mind muting you. I got you. Okay. Okay. All right. So if your legs were outstretched, go ahead and bend them now. And let's start by having both knees pointed to the sky, but your feet slightly wider than hip distance if you can. I'm going to focus on movement of one leg at a time. So if you're on a place that only allows you to work one side at a time, like if you're not on the ground but on a sofa, you're just going to have to do one side, sit up, shift yourself around and do the other side. But we are going to focus on one side at a time. So I have my right foot even slightly further out than my left foot is toward the side, so that I can allow the right knee to just gently come in a little bit. Now my left knee is just pointed to the sky. Have the right knee come back up, and then just allow the right knee to drop out just a little bit. It may not be a lot. We're at the beginning of a class. And then come back to neutral. So you're just windmilling or windshield wipering one windshield wiper at a time. Now, if you're going, let's just stick with one leg initially. And again, the other knee, it may be moving a little bit, but you're trying to keep that relatively neutral. We're going to try to isolate the muscles that are around the hips. So the piriformis and the psoas are two of about 27 muscles that surround the hips. It's just crazy that we have so many of these like smaller muscles that can either be working together, or some of them have just stopped working because we may have injured ourselves at some point. All right. So bring that leg slightly in. And now we're going to focus on the other leg. And you might have to widen your foot a little bit from your midline to allow the knee to gently fall in. Come back to neutral, fall out, and back to neutral. So already you should be hopefully comparing, this side feels really different than the other side. And that's, again, really good for your brain. Like, don't go focusing on what you're doing the rest of the day. Focus on this movement and see if you can be very curious yet compassionate about what you're noticing here. Some people even may notice this a little bit in the knee. If the knee starts causing any sort of discomfort, you don't have to have the knee as bent up. You could draw the foot even further away from you, which still gets into your hip and yet does not torque the knee as much. So that's a consideration, which is what I'm doing on this side. My left knee tends to twinge a little bit more if that leg is as bent. All right, let's come back to stillness. Stretch your legs out if that's possible, and check in with how these two sets of muscles are starting to feel already. You could shake your feet out a little bit. You could notice how they're touching the ground. You could even use your hands to explore a little bit of what's going on back here. And sometimes I even do a little shaking and shifting just to check in. Other people like complete stillness when checking in. So whatever works for your body. So we'll continue to do this movement on one side and then the other. We'll now do a little bit of the hip hikes. Again, we're going to be elongating all these muscles along the side, hooking up to the hip, going all through this area. So we'll start with hands behind neck, if that works for you. If you have something behind your head and it's too much of a lift, you might need to remove that now. Okay, so your elbows and backs of your arms are attempting to be pinned to the ground during this whole little movement. And so tilt the right elbow down and the left elbow is above the head now. Now, when I say above the head, it's not above the head in the sky, but above the head on your surface. Come back to center and do that 2 more times. Again, you can see why the blanket is helpful. It allows you to slide a little bit more. And back to center. And 3rd time. And back to center. Go ahead and repeat that to the other side. I might have to move my mic because this shirt is flimsy and I can feel the mic moving around. Okay, let's go the other way. So now my right elbow is above the head. The left elbow is pointing down toward the feet. And back to center. Slow, steady, soft movements are very, very helpful. And back to center. Last time, like this, and back to center. If you need to remove your arms for a moment, and just make sure your neck hasn't stiffened up by gently turning the head side to side. So we're going to add a little bit of the hip hike. So let's do this separately from the arms first of all. So the hip is not hiking up in the air, it's hiking toward the ribs. And one of the ways to accomplish this is to engage a leg. So I'm going to engage my left leg. Now, when I engage my left leg, I'm going to imagine from my heel down, I'm making it longer. And when I do that, that hikes the right hip slightly up. And then just release them back to neutral. Again, this is a type of move you don't want to make big. If you make it big, you're going to pull something. So it may be less than 1/8 of an inch. So it's really the engagement of a leg to feel like somebody is gently pushing that leg down, and then a slight lifting of the opposite hip. We'll do this standing later on too, which is a little easier to sense. But since we're on the ground, we might as well do it on the ground. So the next time you do this, cup the hands behind the neck again. So when the engaged leg lengthens, so mine's the left, that left arm is also going above the head. So I have a really long side and then I have a short side because the other hip's hiking and the elbows reaching toward it. Come back to the center. Do that 2 more times. Feel the length of one leg. You're lengthening that whole side body with the elbow pointing up above the head. And back to center. Last time on this side. And back to center. If you need to release the arms in between and make sure your neck's not too stiff, gently turn the head side to side. So now we're going to lengthen the right leg by like imagining somebody's pulling a little bit your foot. And at the same time, that right elbow is reaching up toward the top of your mat. And now your other side is shortened. There's a little bit of a hip hike, and the elbow's going down toward the hip. Come back to center. Lengthen that leg, elbow up toward the top of the mat, and back to center. Last time. And back to center. Go ahead and release all of this by drawing knees up, feet on the ground. Let's just allow our legs to gently windshield wiper side to side. Draw your arms out to your side comfortably, or if you like them over your head to get more under the armpit, place a prop behind your head to lean the backs of the arms on. So when my knees are gently going off to the left, the right arm could be either lengthening up, or you could just be drawing the palm to sky if your arms are straight out. The head could also look opposite. So once again, if you're on a surface that you can only do one side at a time, just do the one side and then switch. I'm going to do both sides on this one, back and forth, and change my arms a few times. So I'm going to draw palm to sky on that side, away from the legs, palm down on the side toward the legs. Head is going to try to gently go opposite way. Take your time. Explore this move. You can allow your whole side body that's on the opposite side of the knees pointing to gently lift off the ground, creating almost a moon shape under that side of the body. You can change your arm position and see if this one gets into different places. So we are working the piriformis and the psoas when we do particularly the internal rotation. That's when you really get into those muscles. All right, let's go ahead and release that. Do something that feels neutralizing. Some people like happy baby. Some people like to just draw knees into chest. Some people like to go side to side or circling. Whatever feels releasing, neutralizing. You just explore movement here. In fact, one of the things I really enjoy doing is putting my hands face down under my rear. That takes a little pressure off my low spine, elevates my hips slightly above the chest, and then just play around with moving my legs. I prefer this to happy baby only because happy baby, for me, digs the bone of my lower spine too much into the ground. But everybody's spine has a slightly different curve. You have to play with what kind of inversion works for you. All right, I think let's check in a seated position just to get off our backs a little bit. We'll come back onto our sides in a little bit, but let's shift off to seated. There are two ways to come to seated, depending on how you're feeling today. You can either roll to a side, use the opposite hand to push up, or if your body is calling for it, you could do a direct roll up like that. So you decide again what works for you. Set yourself up in a seated pose that helps your spine feel its best. If you're a person who likes to sit on your knees and you don't have knee issues, that can be really good for the spine. But unfortunately, a lot of us have knee issues that prevent that. So in that case, the slight elevation on either a rolled blanket, some sort of cushion that allows you to slightly tilt your hips forward and have a comfortable curve in the spine, okay? Oh, I feel like I just got out of bed this morning. I did. Having a hard time getting up today after a delay in an airplane ride. All right, so if you're comfortable to do so, close your eyes. Let's go back to doing some sort of scan. Just see already the things that we've done, how they're landing in your body. So we'll do some sort of twisting series from seated. And today, just to do it differently, we'll twist with cross-legged. And the only thing I would say is, let's twist toward the side of the leg that is slightly on top. So for me, my right leg is on top. So I'm going to twist to the right when this leg's on top. Then I'm going to change the cross and then twist to the left when that left leg is on top, okay? So sitting up, and in the gentle somatic yoga style, we'll do the first twist with the eyes open so that we have a frame of reference. The next three with eyes closed. And then the fifth one, reopen your eyes to have a comparison from beginning to end. The other suggestion is engage and disengage muscles throughout the twist. So engage, look behind, disengage, soften to the front. Now close eyes, engage. Now this kind of seated twist will get into some of the muscles around the hips, which could be restricting your low spine and pulling on things. Okay, don't forget on the last time to reopen the eyes so that you have a comparison, a frame of reference. Again, you won't get as much twist with a cross-legged position as we do in our deer pose or mermaid pose. Change the cross of the legs to do the other side. First one, eyes are open. Notice where you're feeling this. Soften in between. 3 with eyes closed, focusing on winding and unwinding, focusing on engaging muscles, and then purposely disengaging them. Let your breath be natural. On the 5th time, go ahead and reopen the eyes and do a little bit of a comparison. See if you've gained a little bit. Nice, and let that go. Now, if you are able to, let's do one other set of twists. This time we'll do twists with legs in front and go back to the first side, bending up a knee. And on this one, we're going to go back and forth with this one knee bent. If you want to look at me first, so it's going to be twist, soften, twist the other side, soften. We'll do 3 rounds of this. And you can do this with eyes open or closed, whatever feels more appropriate. Just make sure you really feel the contrast between the twisting and the releasing. On the twist, if you want to do the inhale to keep your back safe, and then the exhale when you release. Some people do it like that. Other people actually exhale on the twist. So I'd be inhaling the middle, exhaling, because when you exhale, you do get a little more extension. It's not quite as safe for the back. Release. And release. In between the sides, place hands behind your back and allow your legs to windshield wiper. And then let's go ahead and do the other side. So bending up the other knee, your hips can be elevated on something if that feels appropriate. We're going to twist toward the bent knee first, release, and then twist toward the open side. Twist, let it go. Twist to the open side. Let it go. Twist, let it go. And twist. And let it go. Place hands behind your back again. Bend the knees, windshield wiper, just to neutralize things. We're going to make our way gently to a standing position and do a few standing things. Now, you can get up any way you want. If you like to do a few cat-cows, or we call them red light, green light on hands and knees, to a dog, you could get up that way, or just safely get yourself up. Make sure as you get up that you move your blanket out of your way for standing poses. And again, my favorite thing to do on hands and knees is sort of a moving flow into child's pose. Back up through here. I find this very nourishing for my body. And you can have knees together or knees apart if you like to do this. You'll make sure if you are coming through a forward fold to come up to standing, that you keep your knees bent, particularly if you have low back issues. You can lay your belly on your thighs. This is a safe way to get up in a forward fold. And you lengthen your spine first, getting your head above the heart, and then stand all the way up, and then adjust your wardrobe. Okay. So let's go back to those hip hikes standing and see if we can feel the work we've done. We're going to balance everything out. When we get back on our backs toward the end of class, we'll do more of the center movements because we've been doing one side at a time, and it's really good to rebalance your pelvis. So, but maybe start with hands on the hips. And I'm going to come up to the ball of my right foot, and then I'm going to shrink that whole right side, hip hike. Other leg is lengthening. Then I'm going to put that heel down. Hip hike. Put that heel down. Hip hike. Heel down. Hip hike. Heel down. Just take a walk around your room. Swing the opposite shoulder to the hip. So left hip, right shoulder, right hip, left shoulder. Just a few times. And when you are taking your walks, as long as you don't mind looking slightly silly, really focus on this. Opposite hip to shoulder. That's the way we're supposed to be walking. We're supposed to have the hip, and so my right shoulder is back when my right hip is forward. My left shoulder, so it's very exaggerated now. If you don't want to be this exaggerated when you're out in public. Or maybe you do. All right, let's go ahead and shake all that out and at least get in a balance movement. So if you know your balance is a little off today, if you are jet lagged or been traveling or sitting too long, you might have a little bit of a balance issue. So having something nearby is not a bad thing. Well, before we do the balance, I do want to show you another way to release all the muscles around here. And this can be done, you know, this is great for office workers too. So if you're using something to hold your hand on, that's the leg that I'm going to move. So it's my right hand, I'm moving my right leg. The first thing you always do when you're trying to loosen something up is not go directly into the stretch, but contract it first. So I am contracting this hip muscle. And then I am stretching it behind me. Contracting it first, stretching it behind me. Contracting it, releasing, contracting, releasing. Okay, then go ahead and do the other side. So you're shortening the muscle first, lengthening it, shorten it, lengthen it, shorten it, and length. Last time, shorten and length. Now let's do one more release for the hip that I think is very, very helpful. And this is more of a circular movement for the hip. So I've gone back to the first side with my chair, and I'm going to touch my toe across my body. So it's my outside leg I'm working now, unless you're not holding on to anything. And then I'm going to touch it, touch it, touch it, touch it, touch it, almost like I'm trying to make a big circle, but obviously you can't complete the circle. So circling around, circling back, and you can go slower than I'm going. You go at your pace that feels right. And go ahead and shake that out. Let's do the other side. Now this side, oh, I heard that one clicking. You might hear clicks and cracks and other interesting noises. Okay, let's face the chair for a minute. Or if you're not using a chair, if you're using the wall, it's always nice to release things after you've worked them. So the way I can release this is I draw in my belly, I walk away from the wall or the chair, I bend my knees, I lengthen my spine, I try to soften the head, neck, and shoulders. And then walk toward your wall or chair and let that go. If you're using a chair, you could move it out of the way. Let's just, unless you're still keeping it there for the balance, but I'm gonna move mine out of the way. So let's just do a balance where we're imagining we're on a balance beam today. So you are a gymnast, you're on a balance beam, and you are trying to gently walk that straight line. This is interesting and challenging today. So I'm trying to get the heel of my front foot right in front, almost touching the toes of my back foot. And then I'm going to switch. Take your time. Yeah. We're doing our own yoga sobriety test today. All right, I'm running out of room, so I'm going to back up again. And then try to go backward too. I should have tried that. So try a few more steps. Go as slow as you need to. Give yourself time. And then see if you can go backward. Take your time. Wow, really hard to do this backwards. Let's go ahead and widen our feet. Let's just move our hips around organically, comfortably, shake things out. And you might want to do a wide-legged forward fold here. If you don't want to go all the way to the ground, your arms are either on your chair, your sofa, against the wall. But this wide-legged forward fold, I find to be incredibly balancing, comforting, releasing. Soften your head, neck, and shoulders here. Take a few cleansing breaths where you inhale through the nose and exhale with that open mouth sound. Inhale through the nose. Inhale through the nose. All right, that's the last thing we're doing standing up for today. So be very careful making your way down. I'd like to do one thing on your side, if you could. Now, for this one on your side, you might need an extra cushioning for under your head. I think what we're going to do today is we're going to end in a seated meditation. We'll do our mudra practice at the end. So this will be probably the second to last thing we'll do on our backs. We'll balance things out in the middle before we sit up, and then we'll end in seated. So you might need extra padding now for under your head so that your head is not too torqued off to the side. All right. So make your way in any comfortable fashion onto your side, cushion under your neck as much as you need to, so your head does not feel torqued. This is another one that can really help with the psoas and with this lower back issue, working one side at a time. We're going to stretch a leg out in front of us and then soften the knee completely and let it just drop down, okay? Now, re-engage so you feel the difference. Engage this leg, let it go, soften. Engage the leg and soften. Now we're going to get the front of this hip involved with this next little part. So engage the leg, lift it slightly off the ground, and then just allow the leg to come slightly behind your body. So now you're working that front of that hip, and then let the foot come down, bend the knee, soften. Re-engage the leg. It's slightly behind. Now you should feel the front of the hip. Draw the leg toward the front. Come down, soften. Try that again. Re-engage the leg. Your foot is pretty neutral right now. Draw the leg so that it's now slightly behind your body. You should be feeling the front of the hip more. Let it go and soften. And when you let go, make sure you really have softened. Re-engage that leg so it's slightly behind. Draw the leg toward the front. Come down and soften. We'll try this one more time. Now we'll turn the toes downward. So now my toes are down. I'm engaging the leg, but when I draw the leg down, I'm coming toes first and then softening. Re-engage the leg slightly behind your body. The toes are pointed down. Draw the leg in front of your body, toes first, soften.
Now, if you want to try this, turn your toes slightly to the sky. This is a lot harder for at least me. So I can't do this with my knee straight. So my knee is very bent. My toes are slightly to the sky. So now I'm trying to come down heel first and soften. I'm stretching the leg out as much as I can without pain. Toes are slightly pointed to the sky, drawing the leg forward. Heel first, soften. Let's lay on our backs for a moment, check in, and also do a some sort of neutralizing movement between the two sides. So first do your check-in, whether that's in stillness or with slight movement. And then I want you to rock both hips forward and back like a rocking chair, using the pressure on your feet to move that rocking chair forward and back, getting everything a little evened up. The next time you rock back, you can slightly lift your hips, draw the hips back down, rock the chair forward, rock your chair back, lift up, come down, rock the chair forward. Now setting up for the other side. Get your cushioning under your head in any fashion that you need it. Might be different on this side. The knees are bent, the legs are stacked on top of each other. Your body is trying to be as comfortable as it can on its side. Stretch the top leg toward the front of your body. Foot is relatively neutral. So for now, just engage that leg, then soften the knee and just release it. Re-engage that leg, soften the knee, and let the leg just softly drop toward the ground. Engage that leg, soften it, and release. Now re-engage that leg, draw the leg across your body toward the slight back. It may only be an inch back. Now you should feel the front of your hip getting involved. Lower the leg, soften everything, release it. Re-engage that leg slightly behind you now. Draw the leg toward the front. Let the leg come down. Release the knee, release the whole leg, soften. Do this one more time with a neutral foot. So it's almost like you're gently swinging the leg behind you. This should get into that psoas. Let it go and soften. Re-engage. Draw leg toward the front. Foot down first, knee softens, everything releases. Now slightly turn the toes toward the ground. Just do the same thing we just did, but now toes come down first. And let it all go on the side. And really make sure you've let go. Now re-engage the muscles. Draw your leg forward, toes down first. Let it go and soften. Now turn the foot slightly up if you can. Draw that leg towards your back body. Come down heel first, but then soften. Re-engage that whole leg. Heel is slightly pointed down. Leg swings toward the front. Heel comes down first and soften. Go ahead and lay on your backs and just either lay here in stillness, or you can start that rocking motion again to realign things. This can be slow, it can be a little faster, whatever feels appropriate for your body. And you might want to do some sort of inversion again, either happy baby, hands under hips, legs in the air, any sort of release here with a cleansing breath, inhaling through the nose, exhaling open mouth, sigh. And we're going to make our way for the last time into a seated meditation position to do a mudra practice. So, safe way to get up to seated, either on your side rolling up or gently directly rolling up, depending on how you feel today. All right, I think we'll end with a mudra that focuses on back health, maybe lower back health today. And since we got started a little late, we might go a minute or two late because I didn't even get online to 8:16, I think. Okay. Back pain. Yoni. Yoni is for lower back pain. So we'll focus on the yoni mudra today. So hand position is interlace the fingers inward with the left finger on the bottom. So when the fingers are interlaced inward, they're kind of curling in, but your left fingers is the last finger. All right. But then you release the index finger and let the index finger touch each other and release the thumb down and that touches each other. So you kind of made like a trident in front and then the other fingers are interlaced inward. Okay. So your guided meditation is called attuning to your inner rhythms. Just rest your hands below the navel or on your lap now. As you hold the yoni mudra, just take some natural breath. Tune into any feeling and sensation awakened by the gesture. Maybe you're noticing your breath being gently directed down into the pelvis, creating a massaging effect, cultivating a sense of deep inner nourishment. Each inhale bathes your pelvis in soft waves of comfort and ease. Each exhale allows your pelvic area to relax more completely. As the breath flows through the pelvis more freely, sense gentle undulations, soft waves of healing energy. Experience these waves as a reflection of nature's rhythms. They guide the seasons, the tides of the sea, the phases of the moon, and all of your cycles within your being. As you inhale, attune to your inner sea, sensing a quality of fluidity arising naturally. As you exhale, allow the gentle waves to bathe all your reproductive organs completely. With your next inhale, return to the inner sea at the center of your being, opening to receive the qualities of lightness and ease. This time, focus on your exhale.
Sense yourself letting go of all that no longer serves you, dissolving stress and tension naturally. Sense this greater ease as you're moving through your day. From the time you awake to the time you sleep, being more attuned to the rhythm and cycles of your inner being. One more time, return to the calm depths of your inner sea, sensing this area as a sea of equanimity. Exhaling, sense yourself bathing in the sea, open to all that life brings, with a greater sense of harmony and serenity. With this greater equanimity, you naturally cultivate sensitivity to your true needs, finding balance between rest and activity. For one last time, return to the calm sea at the center of your being, integrating the qualities of fluidity, lightness, ease, and equanimity, all helping you to reestablish balance within all of your inner cycles and rhythms. Affirming the inner balance, repeat the following aloud or silently 3 times. Attune to my let's start that again. Attune to my calm inner sea. I am balanced naturally. Attune to my calm inner sea. I am balanced naturally. Attune to my calm inner sea. I am balanced naturally. Slowly release the gesture. Take several natural breaths. When you're ready, blinking, open your eyes, returning slowly and gently, bringing this greater harmony to all of your activities. One last time, just raise your arms up in the air and bring them down. Draw hands to the heart. Let's acknowledge each other and say namaste.